Welcome back to Testing with Destined to finish the trilogy of the new tactician units. We have Astrael. Astrial is going to be a free shard summon event and is going to be obtainable for everyone. But the question is he really that good? Now, I don't know where to test him right now. He's very unique, very interesting. If he's anything like the other two, he's going to be a lot of fun, but I don't really know where to use him. And I'll explain why in a second. But first of all, let's go over his kit very quickly. Number one, his factions, Northerner and Nightmare, pretty solid. Hopefully Northerners get a little bit of shine. I is becoming a Northerner very soon, so another Northerner mage is good. So we are getting more Northerners, but I would like them to get a little bit more of a glow up, specifically with the Lords. Either way, he is also part of the Nightmare faction. Obviously Tactician, Tactical Mastery, whatever you would like to call it. And then when it goes to his kit, he has 2 tile range. If it's not more than 1 tile, so 2 tiles or above, it's not worth it. So that is very, very good. Tags, single target attack, displacement, ally buff, team protection. Stat-wise, he has a crazy high HP of 28,487. He has over 5,402 attack, which is also pretty solid. Defense, 2,700. Magic resistance can kind of be ignored. 18 cost, 2 block. He also has the lower redeployment time because he is a Northerner. It's 2.6 attack interval. I have some gear on, obviously. And then we have normal rage regen stats. Going into the kit, starting with a talent, basic attack has a 30% chance to become Deep Bite and inflict vulnerability physical damage. This is 20% more physical damage taken, which is really good. Then we have the Deep Bite, which is a double hitter doing 190% damage twice. So it is actually quite a lot of damage. Every single time he attacks, it's a 30% chance. Now, when he is shielded, he's also going to get a higher trigger chance, going up to 50%, which is really good. He's going to be putting this vulnerability out all the time. I expect it to be close to 100% uptime. Now, moving on to the rest of the kit. A1, very normal, single hitter, 120% damage. Then we get to the first passive. After casting his ultimate, grants a shield equal to 130% of the hero's attack to the hero and one adjacent ally with the lowest HP percentage. Upon gaining this shield, dispels all debuffs, which is pretty good. And while the shield exists, gains attack interval decrease. Very, very unique ability. Basically just makes it so that they attack more often, and the shield lasts for 15 seconds. Second passive, when adjacent allies deal damage with their basic attack, they restore HP. This is similar to stuff like Volca. But it also goes up to 6% when they're protected by a shield from Vampiric Aura. Now, Vampiric Aura works off of the ultimate. The ultimate, very cheap, honestly, at 600 cost. Can choose and charge to an unoccupied ground tile. You can see by the animation, it's so freaking cool. Anyways, he moves within 3 tiles, dealing 200% AoE damage to up to 5 enemies in path. After casting the skill, the hero is enhanced, gains 60% attack increase, guarantees the next basic attack during this enhancement becomes Deep Bite. This enhancement buff lasts for 15 seconds. So basically, immediate damage followed by just souped up attacks. And keep in mind that this is what triggers the shield, which then increases the second passive, which is healing. Moving on to the awakenings, which most of us probably won't have. I don't know when he'll be added to the pool. A1, damage of each instance of Deep Bite increases, basically 30% damage. This is really good. Good A1 right there. A2, extra attack. A3, Deep Bite has a 30% chance to cast 2 consecutive times on the same target. When he's shielded, he's getting 50% chance to use Deep Bites. So then every time he does Deep Bite, there's a 30% chance to do it twice. The damage must skyrocket. But because he's probably not going to be added to the pool, I unfortunately will not be showcasing his awakenings in this video, because simply, if no one can get it unless you're going to soulstone, which you shouldn't, it's a waste of time. Alright? A4 penetration, and then the A5 when the shield from Vampiric Aura ends restores 20% HP and 10% rage to the shield bearer. Rage regen, very cool. Now I do have to go over the kit, not the kit, sorry, the gearing. I have decided to put him in Soulbound with some HP substats, specifically because I want to use him as the tank in Abyss. I'll probably build him a little bit more tanky when I do that. I also want to try him in areas like Apoch, using him as a pseudo cleanser, as well as trying him out in areas where he's protecting a tank and stuff along those lines, as well as how well he buffs other Northerners. The fact that he can have an instant click shield button is very, very valuable. It's kind of like a vortex in that way. Maybe a hero like a Felia might get a lot of use out of him. To do that, I think HP is a good stat to have. Now, I have decided to make the executive decision in all showcases in the future, unless it specifically states that they need a lot more attack. If I'm trying him in different areas, I'm going to use Wicked Vengeance with a quad, as well as a very normal chestplate. I think it makes more sense when trying areas like Abyss, so I've decided. Now, aside from that, we have 3 different artifact options. I have not played with these artifacts very much, so I will not be using the Dwarven Strider. It is possible that this is very good. It increases all attributes of this hero by 8%. After casting the ultimate, gains an extra 1% increase to all attributes. This increase can stack up to 5 times, which is really good if he needs to tank, except for the fact that a different artifact increases max HP by 20%. After casting the ultimate, applies an extra healing to 3 ally units with the lowest HP percentage within a tile, restoring HP equal to 15% of their max HP. I am going to be using this if I specifically do, protecting a tank in GVG, or trying to have some sort of use case like that, or like using him as a tank in an area. Then for damage, I'm going to be using the Helm of Helios. Increases damage by 25%. After casting the ultimate, allies within 2 tiles gain an extra 10% damage for 10 seconds. These are all kind of supporting, except I think the Dwarven Strider. These are very supportive to your allies, and one's for HP, one's for offense. I don't really know which one to use, so I'm going to swap depending on the situation. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the testing. The first test that I want to do is I want to use Astrial in Apoch. This is for 2 reasons. Number 1 is I want to just kind of show him off, show how he works. And this is just an easy piece of content to do that, show it off a little bit. And then I also want to see how his supporting potential is, because he gives a shield to 1 adjacent ally and himself, which I know is not that many, but it also dispels them as well. So the dispel, cleansing debuffs, poison in Apoch dispels that. It's kind of interesting, and I'm curious if that just kind of helps a little bit of strain on your other units. And then I also kind of want to try him as the tank. Okay, I changed 1 piece of gear, I put another HP bonus on there, and we're just gonna see, does he tank? Is he interesting to use? And does he kind of help a little bit? I don't think he's gonna be the most groundbreaking unit, but like I said, this is just to show him off. First of all, Astrael, we put in our Diao Chan, we go Wukong, we go with our Eloin, Vorn, Yovar. I just slapped in a bunch of random units here. Don't worry about it too much. And then I'm not going to place Torador. Alright? Now, when it comes to Astrial, how does he work? Well, he's sitting there, doing his thing, doing his normal attacks. Eventually, he'll hit twice, obviously. We could do current statistics. Doing, honestly, not that bad damage. And then we can click his ultimate. By the way, if you click his ultimate here twice, which I know a lot of us like to do, it'll immediately use his ult and it'll stay in place. That's how all the tacticians work. Or we can move him. So here we can click his ult like that. We can move him down here. Bam. He's going to charge, hopefully do a little bit of damage, and then become a little bit stronger. Now, his damage is not absurd, but it's definitely not that bad either. Now, obviously, Numera and Son Wukong are ridiculously good. But the fact that Astrial is honestly kind of similar to an A3 Numera, albeit without a Nastia, it's not that bad. I mean, why is it doing this? Okay. I'm not too disappointed with his damage, considering that's not his entire purpose. Now we're going to move him back. He's going to charge. It looks like the charge doesn't hit the boss, or at least if it does, it's not doing a lot of damage. But either way, it's important to try. Now, we're going to go into the poison phase. I want to see how the dispelling works, and also the shielding, and then we will move on. Here, he's getting his ult again. His ult comes back so freaking fast. Here, let's say that, oh no, our Eloin isn't dispelling enough because her ult isn't there. Let's use his ult to try to save someone. So we're going to use his ult. He's going to put out the shield. It's going to fully dispel on, not Numera, Percy and Astrael. As you can see, we get that extra little bit of support, and then he starts to do a little bit more damage. It's kind of interesting. Is it going to be super groundbreaking, though? Obviously not. It is only one ally. But it's pretty cool. And we didn't even use any shield synergy. Which brings me to the next test. So, for the next test, I want to try him with Felia. Just him and Felia currently, because I think it's the most interesting. Now, Felia, if you guys don't know, is a limited that just dropped recently. If you don't have her, don't worry too much. You're still not really missing out too much. But she does have one specific skill. When dealing damage, deals extra damage equal to 20% of the hero's shield strength. And what Astrial does, Astrael, doesn't really matter. What he does is he puts out 130% of the hero's attack to the hero and one adjacent ally with the lowest HP percentage, which obviously is a lot of shield. And it's an instant button, essentially on his ultimate. He gets it all the time. I'm very, very curious as to how well that does. Now we're going to put in Hars. I'm not going to place him. We also have Eloin over here. Actually, you know what? We're actually going to put in a different healer. We're going to put in our Nerissa. Just because, you know, a little bit of extra inspiration never hurt anyone. Either way, we're going to go into Nightmare 4. This is just going to be a quick side-by-side. I'm going to go for about a minute and a half, maybe, and then we will compare one with Felia and one with Astrial and one without Astrial. So we're going to go in, we're going to do Nerissa right there, and we're going to leave it. We're going to auto ult. Actually, I'll manual do it as soon as it is up, and we'll see what happens. So Felia is getting a bunch of shields. I am not entirely sure why. Probably something to do with our kit. You can put on the overall statistics. I have not read Felia's kit in so long. We're going to go until 3 minutes on the dot. I will end it. We'll see the damage, swap it, and then compare the damage outputs. So, what we're going to see here with Felia is her ults coming very fast. Sorry, it's very hard to commentate this and make it interesting. I don't know how to make this interesting. I could just skip ahead, but this is honestly more fun for me, and it'll help me reduce the amount of editing and get the video out sooner. Basically, we're doing a solid amount of damage. We're going to quit the battle. There's 3 minutes right there. And Felia's damage is 28 million. 28 million. It's solid. Obviously, this is just one unit, so it's not like the craziest thing ever. But she's going to be doing about 28 million. Now, what do we do if we put Astrial beside her? Here we're going to put Felia. We're going to put Nerissa. We're going to put our Astrial. And we're going to make sure that the Invig and the Inspo is still on Felia, which is who it should be. And then we're going to keep this going. So with Astrael, and I was a little late on Felia, I don't think it makes a big difference. He's going to be able to give her a fat shield. And she's going to continuously give herself a shield, which is kind of interesting. And then, of course, it's going to expire after a certain period of time, and she's going to lose it. Ult again. Now, keep in mind, the more rage we have, the better. Astrial does about 200k a hit. Trigger that, it's about 500k every time he does one of those special hits. He definitely seems like he needs awakenings to really scale his damage high. But damn! Damn, look at that damage! That's already higher than it was before. That's pretty sick. Now, we're not going to get another ult off, obviously. But it is actually a substantial increase. It's not crazy, obviously. Moraiden will do more damage. But if we look over here, we did about 7 mil more, which is around an 8% increase in damage. Obviously, Astrael does a little bit of damage on his own. It's decently solid. Not bad by any means. For the does the guy even help the tank type of test, I am going to GVG. This is a solid GVG comp. The one that you usually would have used Wukong instead of Astrial or Abomination. I think he might have some solid use cases here, mostly because of his shield, obviously going to the lowest health percentage unit to potentially Torador. I think this might be even more useful if Desomi is the healer instead of Pharisee. But we're going to try it like this, see how it goes. I'm going to just straight up try to kill it. Ignore all the new demon soldiers. If anyone wants a video on that, I can. Also, the axes are going to be very strong, so whoops. Also level 11 Ma. Whoop. I don't think it matters at the end of the day, because we just need to see how helpful it really is. Here, we're going to affiliate. We're going to go right in, and we're going to see what happens. So, in theory, because his ult comes back super fast. Ooh, let me change his artifact really quickly. But in theory, now what I want to try is when he ults, he's going to give a fat shield to Torador. Now, it is based off of his attack, which is obviously a little bit worse. But the theory that I have is that if he puts a shield on, it'll protect against axes. Now, obviously, it's not going to be perfect against level 9s, but this is still worth trying. So here we're going to go in. I'm going to just immediately bait out the ultimates as soon as I can. Because his ultimate is so fast, and because his artifact actually heals, I assume that his protection will actually be pretty good. Now we're going to put in the healer, like I said, right there. We're going to put in... we can put in Amon now, just because. He's going to use that. It's going to go on to Yimmy. Before Torador gets hit, it's going to go on to Yimmy. It's going to use all of the ultimate. I'm going to wait on the axes because they're level 9 and I'm scared that they'll instantly kill him. He's going to build up his ult honestly quite fast. And Torador's going to stay alive for a little bit until Ma decides to trigger. The shield's not going to go on Torador, and he's going to die immediately. Weird. Let me try to adjust it to make it so that... this is going to be so hard to try on an actual GVG team. I'm going to try to send the axes when he's about to get his ult again to see if he really will protect. Here he's going to use his ult. Once again, it's going to go on Yimmy. This is very hard to manipulate for the tanks. Here I'm going to wait a little bit. Here, I might as well do a healer. And then we can do an axe. Why not? We're going to allow him to get a little bit more rage when these axes come in. They're going to start to wail on him. And then he's going to put out the shield. And it's really not that much of a shield at all. That's like no shield at all. Because it scales off of his attack. So what I suspect to be the case, and I know this is only like a specific example, what I suspect to be the case with the shield is it's more for protecting low HP allies and allies that are squishy instead of really helping things like tanks, which is kind of interesting. It definitely limits his usage, in my opinion, a little bit, but it could be worse. I don't think that's a terrible thing. I think there's some creativity that could be used, but realistically, not that crazy of a shield. Like, fallacious energy is cool and all, but if it doesn't help the tank, that makes it a little bit more limited. Before I end off the video, there's two more things I want to show. He's honestly kind of letting me down, so I'm hoping Arena and Abyss help out a little bit. The thing is, it's kind of hard to show him up, you know? I think a lot of his use is going to be protecting really not tanky units, but Nightmare and Northerner both have a lot of tanky units. Also, Arena, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. One, I'm actually going to do something that seems kind of stupid, but bear with me here. I'm going to wait until I get him. And you might think, oh, you never want to place units in Arena like this, right? And the answer is yeah, you don't want to. There's no world where you should be placing things like this. Especially not in single target. You're going to lose because you're not at the front. Although, he's a tactical mastery, which means I can immediately after move him forward. He's going to get that shield, honestly, hit really hard. His damage is decent. A lot better than I thought it would be. So we're gonna place him up there. And he can actually tank it just fine. I could technically put Wukong down here or something. I'm gonna put Elder. This is not gonna beat a Valderon team. I think Moraidon's still gonna be better in Arena. But this is still a pretty cool, a cool strat that you can use. Please RNG, kill it. Oh my gosh. Anyways, we get that done. We're using Elder, which obviously is not the craziest lord. We're gonna get these guys coming in. We're gonna use the ultimate. We're going to nuke the hell out of them. His ult hits very hard. I could Wukong as well, but I wanna let him have a little bit more time to shine because he's the topic of the video. You know, I gotta let him do his thing. We're gonna put down Eloin just for some shielding. It is also possible. Wait, okay. I think there's a possibility that you can run this without Eloin. Because when shielded, which Elder almost always is, you are able to heal. And Elder gets to heal when he does damage, which is obviously enough to keep him alive. Now I'm gonna still use Eloin just because it's a little easier. Obviously, these guys coming out really screw you over. But I think there's a world where you do not need a healer. I'm going to try that after this, but we're just going to go through this very briefly. It's not going to be a perfect arena run, but we're here to let him shine, see what he can do. We're going to wait until the next guy is kind of almost out. We're going to click his ultimate. He's going to use his special ability a lot more often. We're going to disintegrate. Now keep in mind the BP is not crazy high by any means. We're going to use our Wukong to finish it off. This is honestly very impressive. I'm surprised that a Northerner team is kind of not slow. Like, what the heck? That feels like such a foreign thing to me. Well, I'm going to finish this round very quickly, and then I'm going to do a no Eloin. So, bam, we're going to kill this immediately. Is it possible that Northerners become usable? Because this is pretty impressive. It is possible. It is possible. Now, what we're going to do, because usually the issue with these teams is that you have to use a healer and it causes some issues, is we're going to take out Eloin. And we're going to put in, I think the best option would be Ardea. Now, Ardea is going to heal a lot, so that's not ideal. But I think there's a lot of potential here. So we're going to put on some pieces. Ideally, not ones that are absurdly broken, but I would like some solid pieces. Also, I know people are going to say that you can start with Ardea in single target, which you can, but I really like my freaking start with this guy, that I'm actually gonna keep it. Anyways, we're gonna put Ardea in. This boosts the VP, so this is the ultimate test if he can stay alive. AKA Elder. Elder is in a key. Elder is in HP substats, no HP main at all. So keep that in mind as well going into this. Here we're gonna put down Astrael as usual. He's gonna do all the damage that we need for the beginning. Right there, booms, like Diao-Chen. Then after this, we're going to immediately move him. This is just so he has some time to build his ult back a little bit later. Also, I could build him with quads. He's not in quad right side gear, so he will do more shields if you build him like that. We're gonna just put him there. I'm actually gonna put down Ardea next because we don't really need Elder right now. We're doing just fine without him. It's not really like tanking's an issue. I mean, he's freaking healing himself right there. I will place down Elder soon. This is pretty good so far. I'm actually not going to use any ults. We can put Elder down now. It's not perfect. We are down 30% against Valorant teams most likely. But it's okay. This is just a showcase. I'm not trying to make the meta team. But Astrial going to disintegrate this guy pretty fast. Obviously, Ardea is going to help a little bit. Then we can put down our Wukong right here, as usual. I'm going to use Elder's ult, just to get a little bit extra damage out. They're going to get shredded, holy cow. Then we're going to use our Wukong ult immediately. Wukong, one of the better single target units for single target arena, just because it's such good burst damage. When Wukong came out, I'm so proud of myself for catching that he would be insanely meta in single target arena. Damn, look at that shield on Ardea. It's her whole health bar. That's funny. I cannot use any ults on this guy right now, unfortunately, so that's a little bit of a time loss. I think Rage Regen on Wukong would definitely help. But Elder is going to get rolled here because he doesn't have his ultimate, unfortunately. But that's okay. We're going to get him healed up progressively. And if I build him like a tank, obviously, we'll get a little bit more potential there. I'm going to have to swap Diao-Chen, I think, for now, just to keep him alive. Swap back now that the shield is on. More shield is beautiful. We're killing these guys before they stack, which is always important. If you can do that, you're golden. Now, obviously, Elder's about to die here. But we made it to round 8. We beat round 8. And Elder almost lived. Now, I do have to show you guys his build, because I think he can last pretty long. Here, damage-wise, Ardea is going to do the most. Astrial second, Wukong third, obviously. Astrial not doing a ton of damage, but like I said, you can build him more offensively, and he'll do more shields, more damage. Elder's down there. He's the tank, mostly, so it's okay. If we look at the gear quickly, Astrial, once again, in the gear I showed earlier. We have Elder in full HP bonus substats. One single HP main and he'll probably live. Maybe you build him in a DPS tank build. I don't know. Either way, there's a lot of room to keep him alive. And I could time things better, obviously. Put more shields on. Ardea is full attack main on the right. Like I just geared him for, or geared her for you guys recently. Wukong, full attack mains, obviously with the exclusive. And then Diao-Chen is just a lot of attack. The attack's a bit low for Diao-Chen, but it's okay. Do you guys see the vision? There's potential here. You might be able to survive in a Northerner team. Is it going to beat a Valorant team? Hell frickin' no. But it's still a cool thing to try. Now, Abyss, I know a lot of people are going to mention. What I want to do is, I think I want to save this for a Northerner only Abyss video in the future. I still have to make the GVG one. I still have to cover the Maoric trials with the tacticians. So keep that in mind. But with that out of the way, what do I think about Astrial? Now, obviously, I didn't use his full potential. He can still move around in a couple more stages, like campaign and stuff like that. He is completely free, so no matter how good he is, it doesn't really matter because we're all gonna get him. He's always worth getting because he's free. What do I think about him? I think he's definitely the least interesting of the three by a lot. He's definitely the least fun. Still very fun because the moving mechanic is so genius. But realistically, he's weighed down by his factions a little bit. His whole mechanic with this shield going on the least HP hero next to him and everything, it just simply doesn't fit with Nightmare and Northerners. Because Nightmares and Northerners are the two tankiest factions in the game, right? So it doesn't make a lot of sense. I will say the Blood Feast is very good. I definitely was noticing it. Constant healing all the time is never a bad thing. His ult cost being very cheap is very good. The Deep Bites is where most of his damage comes from, so if you're lucky. I think with Awakenings he might be better, but honestly, he didn't really impress me. Once again, didn't meet his full potential, but I think he is outclassed in everything he does, and his main issue is the fact that he's trying to do all these things. He's trying to do shields, he's trying to, you know, help his allies, while also giving them a little bit of a buff, which is cool. He's healing them, which is cool, but then he also is supposed to kind of do damage, so it's like kind of shielding, but not really shielding, because it only affects him and one other ally. He's kind of doing damage, but it's all RNG, and realistically, it barely is really that much damage stacking. I will say the vulnerability is good. It's pretty high uptime, but like, I don't know, man. He's okay. He's decent. He's like maybe an A-, B+ tier unit. Maybe? I don't know. At the end of the day, that's Astrael. That's what he does. Let me know if there's anywhere you want him maybe tried again, or where you think he might be good for you in the comments below. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this guy, man. He's freaking weird. I don't know. Anyways, that's it for me. Bye, guys.